All right, we're now officially live. Jesus, finally. 3 test runs. What's going on? Welcome to the Tosche podcast. I'm David. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Nick.
I'm Peter.
All right, so this is the first episode here. This is kind of like the introduction. We're just going to talk about, all things as to where we first found Star Wars and what pretty much, what are some of our first few fond memories. So I'm just going to start off by saying that I'm a prequel. Oh, I'm pretty sure we all are. Prequel child. We first discovered Star Wars with the prequels and some of the early video games. For me, it was Lego Star Wars. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. My favorite episode is obviously episode 3. Going off with the original trilogies, again, I liked episode 5, and sequel trilogy, we can discuss that later. So who wants to go?
Yeah, I can take it from here. I was definitely I had my first introduction to Star Wars, like many of these guys, the prequels. Definitely the prequels. I remember being in like 4th or 5th grade, and I guess 4th or 5th grade, and I remember all of us collected at our friend Aiden's house, and it was August the 10th, 2008, the day that the Clone Wars premiered. And I remember we had been building up this premiere for weeks and weeks, and to finally get to see, Anakin and the introduction of Ahsoka and, Clone Wars Obi-Wan. And honestly, it just started this great tradition where, all of my friends and I every week would get together, have a big sleepover, and watch the new episode of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So that's really where my love for Star Wars began.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. Sorry to cut you off. That introduction to the Clone Wars with the Clone Wars movie. I remember waiting for it to come out, and then just after that the hype just kind of took off. I know the movie didn't really do so well, but I didn't care. I was a kid at the time. All right, Peter, you're next.
Nick, did you have anything you wanted to finish up, or?
Nah, that's it.
So for me, my introduction to Star Wars was A New Hope. I watched A New Hope. My parents sat down and were like, "Hey, well, we think you might enjoy this," and they put it on, and it was unreal. My favorite memories to this day. But apart from that, I mean, after A New Hope, I went right into the prequels, just like you guys. So it went, for me, it was A New Hope, and then it just went right to Phantom Menace. Pretty unorthodox transition. But yeah, just like you, David, I remember playing the Lego Star Wars games and Battlefront.
Oh, Battlefront.
I grew up on Geonosis and Battlefront 2. My cousins would always get to be the hero, and I was just a little like clone running around, and I'd just get like Dooku lightning from across the map, and that's what boys became men.
My favorite memory was after a while it was just I would play a Kashyyyk dock map.
Oh, I love that one.
I had always developed a strategy where it was the second you get dropped in, I would run as fast as I could across the lake to the CIS island and kidnap that command post. And from there, you had a guaranteed victory because that was the choke point.
Yeah.
That to me, I have loved the original trilogy and the prequels, and Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill have been some of like the biggest influencing actors on my life, and it's been awesome to see where Star Wars has gone in some aspects as the years have gone.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely remember Battlefront 2 pretty vividly, and specifically only wanting to play as the Republic or the Rebels. I never played as the bad guys, and when you said the whole thing about the command posts, and I remember when Battlefront 2 2017 came out, and everybody was like, "Where are the goddamn command posts? Like, this isn't it." And it's just crazy to see like how it's just crazy to see how the universe has evolved. And the one thing I just wanted was a Battlefront 2 just straight up remaster, but I mean, I'm happy with what we have now. And again, I'm happy with the movies, the prequels, although they can get memed pretty hard. and obviously they're not the greatest as far as like the dialogue or some certain scenes and CGI goes, but with the Clone Wars, I feel like that definitely lifted the prequels.
I think the Clone Wars, I think really what happened was we got Phantom Menace, and I think Phantom Menace gets a lot of hate because it was such an anticipated, people were like, I was always very confused as a kid as why A New Hope was the first one to come out, but it was episode 4. So, people had been building up these prequels for so long, and then to just see a Phantom Menace, which, watching it years after its premiere, I never had as many problems with it as some other people. But I can also see why some people were very disappointed in, that as the follow-up to the cinematic masterpiece that was Return of the Jedi. But also, we get the introduction of one of the greatest villains of all time in Darth Maul.
Oh, definitely.
So I think for everything that, takes it out of it with, young Anakin being a little bit annoying, I think there are so many other redeeming qualities of that film that really, really make it one of my favorites.
For me, when I first saw the prequels, going off what you said, Nick, when I first saw the prequels, Jake Lloyd's version of Anakin in the Phantom Menace was a little like grating for me. It was just like he was a little too cheerful.
Yeah.
But then when we got to Hayden Christensen, everyone was panning him. It was like I remember watching Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and then I remember I'm like, oh, those are unreal, like incredible movies. And then I remember hearing all these people pan Hayden Christensen for his horrible acting. I'm like,
oh yeah,
come on. Like the man worked with the script the best he could, and he was great. And I am so excited to see what they do with him in the upcoming Kenobi show.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
You couldn't be any. Yeah. Now my dog has something to say about Star Wars. Apparently, you couldn't be any more. I was just like, my day just felt so much better when I heard that he was coming back, and it's like, I wanted to know that he was coming back because you just hear so many reports, rumors of like, oh, this is happening. But then after what Disney did with the sequels, again, we're not trying to hate on those who do love the sequels, but it's just like, are they really gonna try to, put that much effort? And it's amazing that they're, coming back, and I honestly expect nothing but good things, especially because with the way the prequels are looked at now, even though, yeah, the acting and some parts are still meh, the Clone Wars definitely lifted up, and like you said, Nick, with Darth Maul, that definitely helped, because I can imagine a lot of people, when Maul died, they were probably like, well, that's that, I guess.
What was the point of this gigantic badass with the double-bladed lightsabers, which nobody had really even, experienced before, and just seeing, just that reveal of the double-bladed lightsaber, almost as great as seeing, Grievous's forearms for the first time in Episode 3, even though we've seen it a million times in the cartoons. Just every time we see, Duel of the Fates start playing and Maul bringing the lightsaber to his waist and igniting both sides. Oh, just, yeah.
One of my favorite things was I watched a reviewer kind of going through the prequels, and when he got to I still remember the first time I saw Phantom Menace, and Maul came out and he takes off the hood as you hear the intro Duel of the Fates, and he ignites both of his lightsabers. And I remember goosebumps on my heart. The reviewer I watched, when ObiWan leaps over and slashes Maul in half and he falls down, he looked down and went, "Oh, that's awesome! You killed the coolest character in this movie." And it was the thing from Game of Thrones. It was like, shame.
Well, little did they know, he did not die.
They did his character so much justice, and I'm so happy. Especially seeing who they got to voice him in the Clone Wars and Rebels. Sam Witwer, Star Killer himself, it just gave so much life to Maul.
Oh, you couldn't. I couldn't think of a better voice actor, or even actor in general. I couldn't think he's like perfect, especially for his role portrayed. I know it's Legends, but what he did in The Force Unleashed, yeah, I mean, ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Especially when you watch him like in interviews describing the final duel between Maul and ObiWan. Was that like a Comic-Con convention or something? He's explaining to a fan
why it was like 20 seconds, like it was only like 15 seconds long, but it was like the greatest. Like it's still like one of the best duels in the entire like universe.
Exactly, and just even like just listening to the way he talks about it, it's like I'm so glad that someone else saw the potential in that character and went, I am here for it. I am here to give everything I can, as faithfully as I can.
I think I'm the only one who hasn't seen that description. I have.
Oh, dude.
So what is it? He describes like what's going on.
So it's like he's talking about the whole transformation. So when Maul shows up to Obi-Wan's camp, and I don't know how much you've seen of Rebels.
Not enough.
Yeah, so Maul shows up to Obi-Wan's camp after being led there by Ezra Bridger. And he ignites both of his lightsabers after trash talking Obi-Wan. And
it's Savage's lightsabers too, which is the best part.
Exactly.
Because he's in the old Master skin from Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
So Obi-Wan does the thing where he does the lightsaber pointed forward and the two fingers out.
It's classic.
And, so Maul gets ready for that. And then you see Obi-Wan changes his position so he's holding his lightsaber just like Qui-Gon Jinn did. So he's holding his lightsaber just like
a G.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Maul looks at him and goes, "Oh, cool. I killed your master using the same move, so I'm going to do it." So he goes and he I think it's like 1, 2, maybe 3 hits, and then he throws the lightsaber up, like when the way he hit Qui-Gon in the face in Phantom. And as he goes to do that to hit Obi-Wan in the face, Obi-Wan steps back and slashes down, breaking the lightsaber and slashing into Maul's chest at the same time. And Maul sits there and like he is in complete shock and collapses into Obi-Wan's arms. And you can see on his face he goes, "I have grievously misread the situation.
I done goofed.
I done goofed." It's like it's the scene where he's looking up at Obi-Wan and realizing that it's not the same man that he fought during the Clone Wars. It's not the same man that he fought on Naboo. This is an aged Jedi Master with a mission. And it's like, you see that... Right, exactly. And right before he dies, they have a moment where they have, like, they share their respect for each other. And then Maul dies in Obi-Wan's arms. It's a beautiful, beautiful scene. But as you see the transition of like Maul has been fueled by this hunger for vengeance against Kenobi for years. Obi-Wan's like, man.
I mean, it's his arc, you know? Like, it was the perfect way to end his arc. Like, beautiful character development.
It definitely didn't
could have just been a guy who was thrown down a hole.
Like, yeah, it definitely didn't need like that final epic battle that you usually get when it comes to characters like this. Like, I don't know what, because Maul obviously knew, and we see this in the Clone Wars season 7, where like he's trying to tell Ahsoka like, "Hey, yo, the plan is falling into place. Your master is gonna become Palpatine's new apprentice," and she's like, "Hell no!" But like, I just think it works perfectly. I mean, I'll have to go back and rewatch that, honestly.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find the interview with Ray Parker. Not Ray Parker, Sam Witwer. And I'll see if I can send it to you. Because, yeah, his explanation is just, it's incredible to watch.
Now, moving on from... So we've talked pretty much a lot about the prequels. Now, with the original trilogy... Actually, there was one thing I want to talk about. George Lucas's sequel versus the Disney sequel. I don't know how much.
That's not even really a question, is it?
No, it's not. But like,
more is we got robbed.
Yeah, let's just the fact that Maul would have come back and like been like the main antagonist, I think.
Was his supposed to be like a Skywalker thing, or was it like something completely different?
Leia would have been the chosen one, first of all.
Yeah, which would have been really interesting as a plot to explore. Like, you know, I mean, because Leia is such a complex character that we really didn't get to see a lot of, because, you know, we found out, much like how we found out Finn was Force sensitive at the very end of episode 6. And then the next time we really see her in any kind of, like, you know, the next time we see, the first time, well, we actually really see her use the Force is when she connects with Luke on Bespin, and that's what helps them go back and find him after the legendary battle there. And then, you know, the next time we see her really use any kind of Force ability is when she literally heats herself back into the spaceship in episode 7. But then, like, then she just comes out of nowhere in episode 9 as this super wise Jedi and everything like that. But I would have very much enjoyed to see her training with Luke, her becoming, well, she didn't really become a Jedi, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I think she had so much potential that really just didn't get used one bit.
That sums up the Disney sequel trilogy. So much potential that just didn't get used.
In the EU, she was a Jedi. She did go on to learn at his school, at Luke's school. My only gripe with that version,
Grogu was class president.
Of course.
My only issue with George Lucas's sequel would have been, how are you going to bring Maul back? If you've given him the dignified death that he deserved and the fans were super happy to see him get, how would you bring him back respectfully?
In a way that would be,
without doing what, you know, they did for Rise of Skywalker. How would you retcon that beautiful scene of his death? Like, how would you just, like, erase that and go, no, he's back?
Well, I don't think Rebels would have been a thing.
Yeah.
Because Rebels was done under Disney, so I don't think Rebels would have been a thing, if I'm being honest.
So they would have just removed it from canon, you think? But I feel like also, I mean, Resistance, that no self-respecting Star Wars fan I've ever talked to has ever seen that show. Like Rebels, great show, a lot of great characters. I mean, just a great continuation of where Maul got left off, especially, I mean, and then there are a lot of things problematic about, like, especially Darksaber stuff, you know, but I genuinely think it's a great series that I think it would be a shame if they ever removed it from canon, because I genuinely really like Ezra as a Jedi. I really like Kanan. He's probably in my top 4 favorite Jedi. Like, I mean, Hera, Garazeb, the whole gang, Chopper, all great characters. And also, I felt like it gave us a very linear, like, almost family to follow that we didn't really get in Clone Wars. Because, you know, we see Clone Wars as more of an anthology that genuinely or loosely follows Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. But not to the point where we ever get to see a lot of, like, we see a lot of character development. But getting to see all of the characters interact every single episode with each other in that kind of family bond is, I think, really the charm of Rebels. You know?
Yeah, no, I definitely need to watch Rebels, because with what I'm hearing, and especially after, you know, hearing that, I think part of me was just kind of, no matter what, I just always have that sour taste in my mouth of being like, well, it is Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
Even after,
I went in with skepticism as well, but like, I was like, you know what, this is pretty good. And they do Ahsoka so well in that show. Like,
I do know that because I have seen some clips of Ahsoka, especially when she's fighting Vader, which we can talk about in another time because we've pretty much hit on every subject.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm very skeptical when it comes to Disney Star Wars, especially after the way the sequels were handled. There are certain things that they've done that it's like, I'm actually really okay with. Like, a lot of people give Solo a bunch of flack. I actually enjoyed the movie.
I enjoyed Solo. I mean, it wasn't a spin-off movie. So the joke I like is it was a meme of Ben, you know, or Kylo talking to Han, and then it was, why did you get your own spin-off movie? And it was like Kylo about to kill Han, and then it's Han saying, I didn't get a spin-off movie, I got a Solo movie, and then it was Kylo like stabbing him.
I think that in Rogue One, I think were
Rogue One was
2 spin-off movies that they made, that Disney put out, I would argue are better than the entire sequel trilogy.
I very much agree.
Incredibly sad when you think about it.
I don't know what it was. Rogue One didn't really do it for me until like obviously
Very
the
end.
ending, but
And that was just, oh my god, welcome to what's it, trying to think of the welcome to Final Destination Star Wars edition.
yeah, literally, that's what I was thinking. And then Vader, that Vader scene.
Vader in the hallway scene, and like the similarities between that and the season finale of Clone Wars. Not Clone Wars, sorry, Mandalorian.
Oh,
Just the comparison between father and son there.
It's just poetry,
Being
dude.
badasses in hallways.
Literally.
It is.
But yeah, I don't know what it was. Rogue One just didn't really do it for me. I mean, I thought it was okay. I didn't genuinely hate it. Wasn't really interested in it that much, but I see where and like the point of it. Like it definitely serves a point and serves an overall role as to, you know, why did they get or how did they get the plans. But
yeah.
And with Solo, I think Solo, the big issue with it just came out at a really bad time, and it was on top of so many other movies. If I'm not mistaken, and I think it was Infinity War that came out at that time, or there were a bunch of movies that just came out that were blockbusters. Meanwhile, Solo was at the very bottom, which is understandable because it just came out at a really bad time.
Look, Solo was wildly enjoyable to watch. It was kind of like watching, you know, a fun heist movie that was set in the same Star Wars universe, rather than it was like an origin movie of Han Solo. Like, I thought it was great. It was a great character exploration, but if I would have picked a character to get an entire Solo movie just of himself, I probably wouldn't have picked Han Solo. I would have much liked to have seen maybe... actually, no, that's a good question. I backed myself into a corner here because I can't think of somebody who'd be better than Han Solo for a Solo film. But you guys know what I'm saying, like.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best parts about him was the kind of mysterious, roguish nature of his character when you meet him in A New Hope, and then I think they kind of. One of the biggest, I think, issues I had with Solo was Kira.
Yeah.
It opens up so many plot holes.
It's like, what? Now she's the leader of Crimson Dawn? And, like, you know, I saw Solo before I had seen Clone Wars and knew that, you know, Maul was still alive. And then I go, wait, isn't he dead? And I think, like, a lot of, you know, like, people who had seen the, you know, just like the prequels or just, you know, what I consider like mainstream canon, which is just the 9 movies. I think like a lot of people, including myself at the time, were a little bit confused as to like, wait, Maul's still there? Because, but, you know, after that inspired me to go watch the Clone Wars, and that was a great thing. So
yeah, the biggest issue I had with it was not even the fact that Kira was, you know, the leader of Crimson Dawn, the fact that she was there. And she was a love interest for Han. And, you know, you see how blatantly losing her hits him. Yeah. Then when you meet him in A New Hope, it's like there's no ever mention of a previous love. There's no evidence of that. You just see Han falling head over heels for Leia.
And then they tried to establish those die as, like, Han's, like, totem. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nowhere in the entire...
Like, nowhere did it say that he had like lucky die that he kept, and then like the next time we see them is like I think somebody gives them to Leia after Han dies or something, but like yeah, and it's like what the fuck?
Leia, right before
why does Luke have them? Like
yeah, well then you find out that they're not real. Like Kylo picks them up and they disappear in his hand.
Yeah,
it's just
like,
so
what the hell.
Yeah, I honestly think I need to go back and like rewatch just because it's been so long.
Yeah.
I'm currently going through like the Clone Wars right now, but I need to do what you guys told me to do. Like skip to
what
was that?
I need to go through and see what people's gripe with Solo was. I just need to kind of get a vibe of why people kind of handed the way they did.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, well, I think that was pretty much... Oh, that was a pretty good introduction for what we think of Star Wars as a whole so far. So there's one more question that I wanted to bring up, and it's what would you say to convince someone who's never watched Star Wars to become a fan, or not even like a crazy fan, just like an avid watcher?
I started with Baby Yoda with my girlfriend, and that seemed to work. And now she's seen all 9 movies. So I would recommend with, because I think people think that Star Wars isn't accessible. That it's something that it's very, people think it's very nerdy. And I think that it's the exact opposite. These movies are very accessible. But starting in the simplest forms, which I think the best way for some people, especially now, to grasp it is starting with the sequels. They're the most recent. They have some of the better animations, because some people might not want to watch the original trilogy first with all of that stuff. But I would say start with something really easy, like The Mandalorian, or maybe one of the series that you can get an introduction into the universe before taking your first steps into the larger world.
And for me, it's I think one of the things, apart from people thinking that is really nerdy, is also when you look at it and it's just vast. So it's you tell someone's okay, well there's 9, there's 3 trilogies, 2 spin-offs, at least 3 or 4 TV shows. And it's it can get pretty overwhelming pretty quickly.
And there's more coming.
More coming. For me, I think the best way to look at it, the best way to go about it is just I believe that everyone should start with the original trilogy. Because even if you know nothing about Star Wars,
that's your best introduction.
Sit down and watch A New Hope, because you go in and watch a Phantom Menace, you're seeing all this stuff that is kind of dependent on your knowledge of the original trilogy. If you walk into the original trilogy, it's your typical hero story. And even if you weren't interested in the rest of the show, you could watch A New Hope, have that be the only Star Wars movie you watch, and still feel fulfilled, because it's that one movie establishes a problem, wraps up the problem, and gives you a satisfying conclusion. If you watch A New Hope and it's oh, well, that was actually really cool, you can either go, all right, well, it's not for me, and stop there, and you've still seen a full movie, or you can sit down and go, you know what, I'm really interested to see where they go with these characters.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely think that so there's people who just want to watch the movies, and people who just want to watch the shows, or people want to do both. But you got to remember, there's also comics too. So if you're somebody who likes to read the comics or read the lore, as a lot of people like to joke around and say, I definitely think that using or reading or looking into comics is a pretty nice way to start if you're into that stuff. But I think if you're just more of I want to just watch it for what it is, I personally would recommend people to watch it from episode 1 all the way through, just because I just think the story is more complete going from 1 to 9, and I just think that'll get people drawn in a bit more, personally.
Yeah, it's also confusing because Disney has decanonized so much. Oh, that's a really cool thing. You're yeah, well, that's not canon. It's well, just
why?
Do it at your own enjoyment.
And then Kathleen Kennedy was oh yeah, we don't have enough material to make any new Star Wars shit. And it's yeah, because you decanonized all the cool stuff.
Yeah. So it's just basically, in my mind, it's if it's something you want to check out, check it out. Don't feel overwhelmed that there's all this stuff that doesn't count anymore. It's just watch it for what it is.
This is the way. Come on now.
Exactly. Check out some awesome looking fight scenes, and just kind of it's something that you can kind of just switch your brain off for. It's I've had a really long day at work. I kind of wanted to see some laser sword battles. Let's go.
I love laser sword.
I definitely wouldn't recommend the TV shows, because especially the Clone Wars, because it's 7 seasons, and the first few seasons have 20 episodes or something like that.
It's a long show.
Yeah, I'm trying to drag my way through it. I might just skip a few seasons at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Also, you gotta remember the video games too. Like, there are some really good video games, even if they're not canon, dude. Just like, you want to get on, play some Force Unleashed, and just throw a bunch of stormtroopers around. Like, yeah, like, do it. Like, that's what I enjoy. Like, Force Unleashed is probably my favorite Star Wars game, if I'm being honest. I hope it's, I feel like that's what a lot of people look towards when they think of a Star Wars game, if it's either that or Battlefront 2. So.
Yeah. It's excellent, but it's again, it's something that there is something there for everyone in the series. There's adventure, there's humor, even in the OTs.
There's romance a little bit, but not like a distracting amount.
Watching Harrison Ford just kind of like fire quips off, joke around. There's a lot there. There's something there for absolutely everyone to enjoy.
And it's also not filled with, like, I know a lot of movies are doing it now. It's not filled with, like, the typical Hollywood, like, all these famous actors just formed together just because they're famous actors and we know their faces. They take a lot of pretty much unknown actors and turn them into, like...
George Lucas picked Mark Hamill because he was the same age as Luke Skywalker. They were both 19. Like, and I think that was, like, how do you have a convincing 19-year-old? You get somebody who's 19. It's like you see today, like, all of these people are like 32 and they're playing high school students.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, but the whole point was that Luke was just supposed to be some farm kid from Tatooine. Like, and I think he did that character so much justice.
It's like the next few movie we see about, like, a high school drama. It's just a bunch of, like, old men walking around in canes. But
yes,
no. Go ahead, Peter.
Grogu be like...
Yeah, thanks.
Yes. Just take all the people from, like, the nearest nursing home and have them portray high school kids. Nailed it.
I definitely would say the memes, too. There are a lot of good memes.
The memes
out
are
there,
awesome.
So if you want to know it just for the memes, then hey, go right ahead. Baby Yoda definitely was, like, carrying the Mandalorian. I wouldn't say carrying, but, like, when the first season came out, everybody was like, "Oh, Baby Yoda!" Da, 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 da. And, like,
Baby
Yoda
is why it got... Baby Yoda's why it got so popular, because people just, like, he was so adorable, like...
And then the fact that, like, now he has, like, a name and everything. So it's like...
And a backstory.
Yeah, it's just growing. That's the thing, like, the universe is constantly growing, where, like, you have, like if you're... I don't know how to really say... It's constantly growing, because we're still getting more. Like, this is the best time to be a Star Wars fan, honestly. That's what I think.
We're getting 10 new shows.
Yeah, like, despite everything going on, especially now, well... I mean, I would say before, like, when the pandemic was really, hitting and people didn't really have much going on or much to do, didn't know what to do, I'd be like, hey, just throw on a few Star Wars movies, maybe. But, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as what I think we want to cover today, because we went on for 33 minutes, so not bad. Yeah.
It's not bad, man. It's a good intro.
Yeah, well, that's it from us for today. Not really running on a schedule,
Stay tuned for
honestly.
next week. Okay, we don't have a schedule. Got it.
As of right now, we don't have a schedule. Yeah, no. I'd like to do these, like, weekly or bi-weekly, because it's just, this isn't really this is kind of like we're doing it because we want to have fun and just chat about Star Wars and things, so, take a shot every time we say the word Star Wars, or Disney sequels, or Baby Yoda.
Every time we shit on the sequels, take a shot. Every time we shit on Disney Star Wars, take a shot.
All right. Well, any last words?
All right, guys.
Drink responsibly.
I have the high ground.